Hey everyone, and good Monday evening to you. It's weather for Weather Geeks time here on the 29th of June, almost the end of the month, believe it or not, July 1st on Wednesday. And I thought this evening, since the weather looks awfully quiet for the next several days, we'd spend just a moment or two here reviewing a little bit the numbers for June so far, precipitation-wise. Now, these, of course, are valid at the Youngstown Ward Airport in Vienna, in Trumbull County. Good thing rainfall was fairly plentiful last week. We're up to 3.31 at the airport now, and we'll end up about a half an inch below average for the month. But last week, really, we ate up a lot of territory last week, or made up the difference, I should say. The deficit was quite a bit larger before last week. A lot of dry days earlier on this month. So all in all, it'll end up being a fairly typical, or at least in the ballpark, June as far as rainfall goes. And this is in fairly stark contrast to recent Junes. This is the list of wettest Junes on record in Youngstown. You'll notice how many recent years are on this list. Lots of recent years. 2015. Last year in 2019, we had 8.15 last year. 2017 is on the list. 2018 is on the list. So about half of this list is just in the last handful of years. This year, a little more typical in terms of June rainfall. July may end up being one of the drier ones in recent memory. We're going to be talking about the longer range a lot this week since the short range is going to be fairly quiet. Speaking of fairly quiet, the radar as of this recording at 7:10 p.m. shows, we're kind of in the sweet spot here. Showers underneath an upper low across New England. That's above my head. And then out that way towards the Tennessee Valley and into the Midwest, showers and thunderstorms are plaguing some of those regions. And after a very Miami-like day on Saturday, the dew points were skyrocketing at the start of the weekend, and really even into Sunday morning it was still pretty muggy. Those dew points have backed off. Now, we're not going to mistake this for a October air mass, but a dew point of upper 50s to around 60 is better than upper 60s to around 70. Boy, that juicy air did not move very far, though. It is still very soupy in places such as Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Lexington. Lots of mid-70s dew points back into the Corn Belt as well. In the west, in the mountains, it's pretty chilly. In fact, there's been some snow down to, I think, 5,000 or 6,000 feet in some of the northern Rockies over the last couple of days. In some of the lower elevations, but still kind of in the Rocky Mountain zones here. I mean, it's just in the 50s in late June in Boise, Idaho Falls, and Helena. So that's where the cool air is bottled up for the time being. All right, a rerun coming up on Tuesday. It'll be pretty much a carbon copy of today. Starting out in the upper 50s to around 60 right at sunrise. By 7, we're already warming through the 60s. And then already in the mid-80s at lunchtime, and mid-80s is where we should end up in the afternoon. Much like today, the dew points will not be much of a big story at all. On Tuesday, they'll be kind of in that moderate zone. Nothing like we had a couple of days ago. We're just looking for a few fair weather clouds in the afternoon, and then Wednesday and Thursday, we'll just blitz through this quick. Nothing going on. Once again, sunshine, some patchy fair weather, cumulus clouds. All right, this particular model has dew points mostly in the afternoons in the upper 50s through the end of the week. A one-day spike possible for Saturday on the 4th. Not sure I'd buy that at this point. I think through the weekend, a day like, or the humidity like we had today is pretty much what we're going to have. It's, again, not an October air mass, but we're not going to be seeing those 70-degree dew points like we had over the weekend. All right, quiet weather pattern, and, we're just kind of in the sweet spot. There's a big upper low, which continues to spin over New England. Showers and thunderstorms and cooler weather underneath that. Big ridge bulging through the middle of the country and up into Canada. Really hot weather by Canadian standards in parts of Ontario. And down into parts of Manitoba and into parts of the upper Midwest in the U.S. Really hot stuff for the next few days. Now, that upper low will finally get off the playing field as we head towards the tail end of the weekend, into the weekend, and then just a broad ridge of high pressure will dominate when you look at the jet stream level here as we head towards the 4th of July. So you're looking at the troughing along the west coast, and then from the Rockies east, just a broad ridge and hot underneath this. Now, record heat around here? No way. But pretty consistently hot weather. That's going to be the rule, looks like, through the weekend and into next week. So this is the 8 to 14-day outlook showing beyond your typical 7-day forecast that you see me show on TV. It looks pretty hot in the longer range. I don't see anything suggesting that there's going to be any sort of 2 or 3 day relief from the heat. Maybe a day here and there, but that might be about it. I mean, this is an impressively hot looking pattern as we go through time. So as I mentioned on Facebook, especially earlier on, make sure your yard is ready for a hot and dry July. Make sure you're not cutting the grass too low because it'll brown a lot faster if it's really short. If you're going to be doing some watering as we continue to dry out, make sure that you're doing that at the right times of the day. That's early in the morning and in the evenings, not in the middle of the day when the sun is beating down on it. We've got to get ready, I think, for a pretty hot and pretty dry July that might rival in terms of temperatures our last super hot July, which was 2012. Last July was hot. It ended up being about 4 degrees warmer than average. July 2012, actually we had back-to-back really hot Julys, 2011, 2012. This July might try to rival that. And it looks to me drier than that scorching hot July of 2012. We had 6 inches of rain in July 2012. I kind of doubt that's going to happen this year unless we get some sort of renegade thunderstorms that decide to dump a couple of inches in just a few hours, which is always a possibility in the middle of summer. But overall, yeah, hot and dry, that's the theme, not only for the next week, but possibly much of July. We'll talk about the July forecast in a little more detail in future editions of Weather for Weather Geeks. In the meantime, have a great rest of your Monday night.